You said something at a party 3 weeks ago, something small, something almost no one noticed, but you noticed, and since then, you have replayed it at least a dozen times. The exact words, the other person's face, the half-second pause before they responded. You have analyzed it, regretted it, and revised it in your head so many times that the imaginary version feels more real than what actually happened. Why does your brain do this? The answer goes back much further than you think. It does not start with insecurity. It does not start with social media. It starts with a world that no longer exists, wired into a brain that never got the update. Your brain is, at its core, a survival machine. Not a happiness machine, not a logic machine, a survival machine. And for roughly 99% of human history, survival meant one thing above everything else: staying in the group. You could not hunt alone. You could not defend yourself alone. You could not raise children alone. The moment the group decided you were a problem, you were, in the most literal biological sense, dead. Rejection was not an emotion. It was a death sentence. This is where everything starts. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying the social structures of early human communities. What he found was striking. The human brain, specifically the neocortex, grew in proportion to the size of the social groups humans lived in, not in proportion to hunting challenges, not to climate, to social complexity. Your brain did not evolve to solve math problems. It evolved to track other people. Who liked whom? Who owed whom? Who was dangerous? Who could be trusted? Social monitoring was the primary job of human cognition for millions of years. You are not overthinking. You are running ancient software designed specifically to do this. So when you replay that conversation from the party, your brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is running a survival check. Here is where it gets stranger. In 2001, psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky at Cornell University ran a series of experiments on a phenomenon they called the spotlight effect. They had participants wear an embarrassing t-shirt, then walk into a room full of people. The participants were certain that nearly everyone in the room had noticed and judged them. When researchers asked the people in the room what they remembered, almost none of them recalled the shirt at all. The participants had dramatically overestimated how much attention other people were paying to them. This is the spotlight effect. Your brain tells you that you are at the center of everyone else's attention. It creates a mental spotlight that follows you everywhere. But the spotlight is almost entirely imaginary. Why does it exist? Because for most of human history, being watched mattered. The eyes of your tribe were the most important information in your environment. Someone watching you closely meant something was about to happen. Status was being evaluated. Danger was being decided. Your nervous system became hypertuned to the feeling of being observed, because the consequences of misreading that signal were lethal. Today, the stakes are almost never that high, but the system is still fully operational. It cannot tell the difference between a hostile ancestor staring you down around a fire and a coworker who glanced at you briefly in the hallway. It fires the same alert. It triggers the same spiral. Now ask yourself something. When you imagine what other people are thinking about you, whose voice is it? Really? Whose standards are you applying? Often, it is not even someone you care about. It is a composite, a phantom audience assembled from everyone who ever made you feel small. A parent, a teacher, a person who once laughed at you in the wrong way. Neuroscientist Matthew Lieberman of UCLA has shown in multiple studies that the brain's social processing network, the medial prefrontal cortex, activates almost constantly during idle thought. When your mind wanders, it defaults to thinking about other people and how they perceive you. This is your brain's resting state. Not planning, not remembering facts, running social simulations, playing out scenarios, rehearsing interactions. Your brain treats social preparation the way other organs treat breathing. It does it automatically, without instruction, because it considers it essential. And here is the part that almost no one talks about. This system is not just reactive. It is predictive. Your brain is not just analyzing what people have thought about you. It is constantly projecting what they will think. It is running simulations of future social encounters before they happen. Every time you think about how you will introduce yourself at a meeting, or rehearse a difficult conversation in the shower, or imagine someone's reaction before you send a text, that is your social prediction engine running a forward model. This system saved lives. Thousands of times over, in thousands of generations, the people who were best at predicting social outcomes survived and reproduced. The person who walked into a new tribe and correctly read the power dynamics. The person who sensed before anyone said a word that the alliance was shifting. The person who knew, by watching faces, that the punishment was coming before the punishment came. You are descended from those people. You are the result of millions of years of social intelligence being refined, compressed, and passed down. When your brain obsesses over what someone thinks of you, it is not weakness. It is the inheritance of every ancestor who lived because they read the room correctly. But inheritance is not destiny. Because here is the modern problem. The system was calibrated for a world of 150 people. Dunbar's research suggests that is roughly the maximum number of relationships the human brain can meaningfully track. In that world, your reputation within the group was a fixed, knowable thing. You could monitor it. You could manage it. You could respond when it shifted. Now consider what your brain is trying to do today. You move through hundreds of interactions every week. You exist online in front of thousands of strangers who can evaluate you instantly and invisibly. You receive feedback or the terrifying absence of feedback at a scale and speed that has no evolutionary precedent whatsoever. Your 150-person social brain is being asked to manage a social world of incomprehensible scale. And it is panicking quietly, constantly, the way a calculator would panic if you asked it to run a space shuttle. This is why the spiral never quite stops. The system was not built for this. It has no off switch because it was never supposed to need one. Psychologist Mark Leary, who spent years researching what he called sociometer theory, proposed that self-esteem is not actually about how good you feel about yourself. It is a meter, a gauge, a continuously updated reading of your estimated social acceptance within your group. When you feel bad about yourself, in Leary's model, you are not experiencing a mood. You are receiving a warning signal from a social monitoring system telling you that your place in the group may be at risk. Low self-esteem is not a character flaw. It is a threat alarm, which means that when you agonize over a social interaction, you are not being irrational. You are responding to an alarm that your own biology installed. The alarm is ancient. The alarm is calibrated for a different world. But the alarm is real, and it is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Here is what changes everything. Knowing this does not immediately stop the spiral, but it fundamentally shifts the relationship you have with it. The next time the replay starts, the next time you lie awake reconstructing a conversation, you can recognize what is actually happening. Your brain is running a survival check on a threat that, in almost every case, does not exist. The spotlight it has placed on you is imaginary. The phantom audience judging you is assembled from ghosts. And the social rejection it fears has consequences that, in the world you actually live in, are almost never as catastrophic as the system believes. You are not broken. You are ancient. The brain that cannot stop wondering what other people think of you is the same brain that kept your ancestors alive in every dark, dangerous, unknowable moment the world threw at them. It watched faces. It read rooms. It stayed vigilant when everyone else had stopped paying attention. It is still doing that job right now, 3 weeks after a party, replaying 14 seconds of a conversation that no one else even remembers. And the next time it starts, maybe you let it run its check. You acknowledge the signal, you recognize the ghost, and then you remind yourself gently that the verdict is already in. You made it. You are still here. And the group, by every measure that actually matters, has not decided to leave you behind. You said something at a party 3 weeks ago. Almost no one noticed. The one who noticed most was you. And it turns out that is exactly how it was always supposed to work.